The myth of things like the Southern switch and the Southern strategy, which never happened.
I look at them and say, you are simply black by name because you are white by commerce.
You're going to hear yourself around the world because we have to explain brothers like you. We do.
The only motherfuckers I'm exploiting sexually is the puppy that licked my balls when I was high as hell.
Why do I always want to make the dog feel good by playing with their privates?
I sniffed your chair last time you was here.
You're a sick person.
I know. I did.
Little light
you drag out the
off
bed.
a nice king size on a beautiful plush carpet.
Okay.
Like, please.
Candice Owens tried to pivot by getting in good again with black people, and it failed, and I want to talk about why. My reason being, Candice's failed relaunch began with 2 high-profile interviews from Charlamagne Tha God and Joe Budden. This video is about how truly awful all of those people are, but mainly about how bad Joe and Charlamagne are because they both talked about doing weird stuff with dogs on their own show, and everyone seems to have forgotten about it. Most of us already understand why Candice Owens is a disease. The other 2 seem to have run the Men in Black flashy thing on the public to forget what they've already admitted to. But I didn't forget, so content warning for SA and animal abuse. Yes, they are that bad. Allegedly. I'm going to be saying allegedly a lot in this video, but just keep in mind that many of my sources for this information are Joe and Charlamagne themselves. Let's quickly get Candice Owens out of the way first, since we already know she's sentient sludge. If you don't know who Candice Owens is, she was a liberal blogger until around 2016 when she got in trouble for doxing people. She got doxed herself and found herself getting support from conservative lowlifes like Ben Shapiro and Milo Yiannopoulos. She never looked back. She made an entire documentary trying to gaslight people about the murder of George Floyd. She made White Lives Matter merchandise. She's a historical revisionist who will say anything for attention. She was most likely fired from the Daily Wire for supporting Palestine, but she even screwed that up by going the weird anti-Semitic conspiracy theorist route with it. So yeah, fuck Candice Owens, moving on. Who I'm really interested in talking about are Joe Budden and Charlamagne Tha God, because they chose their platforms to give Candice Owens a shot at growing her audience. Not everyone in their position chose to do this, most didn't. But these 2 men did, and they both have enormous followings. The Breakfast Club is a hip-hop morning zoo show on 90 different US radio markets through iHeartRadio. Over 5 million subs on YouTube, and the host, Charlamagne Tha God, is basically the hip-hop Howard Stern. Aside from radio, he's had book deals, and he's gotta have some kind of development deal with Paramount because they keep trying to make fetch happen with him as a talking head. After co-hosting stuff like Wendy Williams and The Guy Code, he got a talk show called Charlamagne and Friends. He got a spin-off of Catfish called Catfish Trolls. He had a talk show called Uncommon Knowledge. He had a talk show called The God's Honest Truth that was retooled in its 2nd season into a show called Hell of a Week. They just keep giving this dude chances, even though it should be pretty clear by this point that he lacks crossover appeal. I mean, none of these shows made it past a season. He was also going to have an HBO talk show called The Gray Area that was likely dropped due to some of the accusations we're about to cover in this video. Meanwhile, Joe Budden was a one-hit wonder rapper, then he became a rapper's rapper and joined a supergroup. Then he did a bunch of love and hip-hop reality TV stuff on VH1.
As a matter of fact, Joe, your wife actually is not trying to divorce with you, your beard is.
Then he retired and became a hip-hop pundit. He used to host a show called Everyday Struggle through Complex with fellow weirdo DJ Academics. And on that show, they openly hated each other while some other lady tried to keep them on topic.
I go to your Instagram every fucking day and you talk about a whole bunch of bullshit.
Who's
I'm sorry
talking
that you
Instagram?
feel personally attacked.
When that predictably blew up, he had a short-lived, unsuccessful talk show. Then he started doing a podcast, eventually got multi-million-dollar deals with Spotify and Amazon. Then he fired his co-host, left Spotify, got dropped by Amazon, and went independent. He's on Patreon now, though he still has sponsors. Joe and Charlamagne were friends and occasional collaborators. They used to do year-end reviews and go on each other's shows and stuff like that.
My good buddy, old pal, the Magneto to my Professor X. I heard Charlamagne go on a little rant.
Joe called Charlamagne the Magneto to his Xavier, but they were really more like Statler and Waldorf. Anyway, pride and ego and possibly money got in the way, and they're not cool anymore. Platforming Candice Owens is disgusting, these men are disgusting, and both of them have told on themselves already on their own shows. Charlamagne Tha God and Joe Budden have both had abuse accusations, and they've both admitted to doing weird stuff with dogs. Once again, I'm going by their own words on this, alright? Here we go. Play the damn Meet the Grams beat.
Why did you stop the jazz music?
In a 2015 interview, Charlamagne Tha God talks in detail about a time he allegedly put Spanish Fly, a gas station aphrodisiac, in a woman's drink and had relations with her while she was, again, in his words,
I remember a scenario, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I got this girl real drunk, and that sentence sounds a little fishy. I got her drunk. I didn't just get her drunk. I remember I went to the sex store and got Spanish Fly. Oh, so you raped her? Shut up. Spanish Fly. They sell it in the sex store. I'm telling the truth. She was drunk and shit, and we had sex and shit, and like, a lot of my boys was trying to come in the room and fuck. I'm like, nah, chill out. I can't. I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna let you run the train on it. Me and her had every intention of having sex with each other. So then why would you put the Spanish Fly? I was a freaky. I'm still a freaky motherfucker, but listen, was she passed out while you fucked her? Nah, she wasn't like. She was like one of those drunks where. Listen, no, she was one of those drunks where like. She was one of those drunks where she was like. Oh, like she wasn't coherent, but she was up. You know when your girl just, like when you're blacked out, like that, don't know what the fuck's going on type shit.
She wasn't coherent, but she was up, like when you're blacked out. He's got a lot of stories like that. He said his own wife views their first time together as an assault, allegedly.
Me and my wife dated for a whole year. She would not give me no pussy. Yeah. Me and my wife hung out one Saturday night, and she got sloppy drunk and passed out of my mama's house, and I got that. No!
Damn, while she was passed out?
Yes. I asked her yesterday, I was like, yo, did I rape you the first time we ever had sex? And she looked and she goes, I mean, in hindsight, yeah. No.
He had a weird case against him involving a 17-year-old when he was 22. And like Bill Cosby before him, he also has an affinity for grape-flavored humor, let's just say.
$26.
No.
You let me in if you run a train on you right now.
What can you get for $26? You can buy me a drink for $26.
Whoa.
Can we slip something in your drink, then take advantage of it?
I sniffed your chair last time you was
You're
here.
a sick person.
I know. I did.
J-Lo just left.
Stay together, stay humble.
Right.
At the end of the tour, she got us all iPods.
And she's beautiful.
See, and y'all the age where y'all can sneak in her dressing room when she's getting dressed and she wouldn't trip. You know what I'm saying? They could see her naked and they wouldn't trip. It's like, oh, it's just them. She get dressed in front of y'all.
Hide in the closet, pop out
Yes.
with you naked.
I have to say I'm disgusted at how Charlamagne is these 14-year-olds.
I'm done with you, okay?
I talk about it on the album.
Who the hell raped your sisters?
Oh man, I don't want to get into that. It's a little too personal.
I would definitely suck a fart out your butt.
Suck the fart out your butt. No, the guy suck a fart out your butt, Joe?
That is gross.
Hell, I look at some of the things I used to say to women in interviews here on The Breakfast Club, and I'm like, bruh, you was wildin'.
Now here he is hosting The Daily Show.
Those nut-ass Republicans.
A bunch of this stuff came out during Me Too, but it looks like Charlamagne got lawyers and reps, and suddenly there were new versions of a bunch of these stories. But I, for one, tend to believe people the first time around.
I want to acknowledge that my tone was all wrong when I was having that conversation on the podcast, and I should have never used the term rape so loosely because it was irresponsible and not appropriate for what I was trying to describe.
If you say something incriminating, and then you lawyer up and release a statement about what you meant to say, and what you meant to say conveniently absolves you of everything you implicated yourself in, how am I supposed to take you seriously? Which brings me to Joe Budden. In a leaked family court document, Joe Budden was accused of physically abusive behavior by his former fiancée. Multiple women have accused Joe Budden of physical abuse.
A couple of your ex-girlfriends have accused you
Like?
of domestic violence in some form or fashion. Even Tahiri, as a matter of fact. Gloria Velez at one point said something about you and her getting into some type of physical altercation as well.
The legal doc in question was leaked by Sin Santana, who Joe was on Love and Hip Hop with, but Joe himself has admitted to being physical with another one of his exes, Esther Baxter, while she was pregnant, which she alleges caused her to miscarry. Budden admitted this on The Breakfast Club, right next to Charlamagne, of course.
I dragged out the bed. I definitely did. After a couple more lines of that arrogant talk.
You dragged out the
off
bed.
a nice king size on a beautiful plush carpet.
Okay.
Like, please. And I'm just chilling. And she's screaming and yelling at the top of her lungs. So in my head, I'm like, oh, okay, so I spazzed. So I guess it's her turn to spaz now. And I do get on top of her. Do I sit on her stomach? No.
What do you sit on, Joe?
I'm sitting right underneath her breast.
Underneath her breast.
So that's where I'm at. But listen.
Underneath her breast is her stomach.
And I'm saying to her, yo, chill, stop. And she's saying, get off me. And that's all she's saying is get off me.
What else is she
And I'm
supposed to say?
saying a minute, maybe 2 minutes the most, I get off her.
Also, I'm just going to quote the document for this part without putting too fine a point on it. Suffice to say, the defendant has not only expressed concern for the dog's lack of sexual partner, but has personally assumed responsibility for relieving any pent-up canine sexual tension. The defendant, for reasons I cannot fathom, has personally masturbated the dog. The defendant repeatedly states that he sees this function as a responsibility since there are no bitches around to provide a sexual outlet for the dog. Now here's a clip of Joe that would seem to corroborate that story from his own podcast.
Why do I always want to make the dog feel good by playing with their fucking privates? Yeah. But they like that. They fucking Roy protects their animals.
Stop raping my dog.
That's how I know that he's not a real animal lover.
Because I don't play with my pets.
Anybody with a pet, you come on, you did a little something down there, man, made your dog feel good.
Hell no. I've never done it.
Yep, there he is, just volunteering that information unprovoked. People love dogs, man. I don't understand how this mother has any pull after this. I just have to point out how self-assured Joe Budden is here.
Anybody with a pet, you come on, you did a little something down there, man, made your dog feel good.
Hell no. I've never done it.
He's convinced this is something that every dog owner does, and he tries to play it off like it's normal. Once people started calling him dog fucker, he went into denial mode.
And if I gotta come on here and tell y'all that I don't hit women and I don't fuck dogs every day, then I will. I'm not here to talk to the people that believe I abuse the very women that I have taken care of. It's just not who I am. It's not who I've been.
I don't know, Joe. It sounded to me like you said you jerk off dogs, and you said you pull pregnant women out of the bed while they're asleep. Then you acted like everybody else does it. Don't feign disgust now. People love dogs, and they hate bestiality. How did he sidestep this? How do you walk away from jerking off dogs completely unscathed? This should be the first thing people think about when they hear Joe Budden's name. Maybe it's my fault for letting The Simpsons shape so much of my morality, but if Troy McClure was synonymous with doing weird stuff with fish, how is Joe Budden not synonymous with doing weird stuff with dogs?
No, what I have is a romantic abnormality. One so unbelievable that it must be hidden from the public at all costs. You see.
Stop!
I can't believe I live on a planet where this happened and it wasn't memed into oblivion. Howard Dean had to end his presidential campaign for making a funny noise one time. Yep, that's the one. If Joe Budden was just some high school kid and this got out amongst his classmates, he would have to change schools. But here he is, running his yapper, people taking him seriously, happily subscribing to his Patreon. And the craziest part is, Charlamagne also allegedly did weird dog stuff and openly talked about it on his show.
Hey, but Charlamagne participates in bestiality.
I've never participated.
Wait, what? You dog, Charlamagne?
He had a dog lick his balls.
I was high. It's a long story.
Let's just leave it at that.
He only licked me like once. Like it was like one lick on the balls. I'm like, yo, that's all.
Oh, so now it's just one.
Now it's just one.
You're such a liar. That is not what you said.
A puppy?
Yeah, pit bull puppy. I used to have this brindle pit bull puppy, and I was high as hell laying on the couch, and I had on some boxer briefs, and my was hanging out the boxer briefs, and the dog came and just started licking my balls, and I didn't stop him.
And you just let him finish?
I mean, I never stopped him. He just kept licking. All you girls out there that have licked my you've licked behind a fucking pit bull puppy. So, man, I always tell people, man, when you live your truth, people can't use your truth against you, man. I don't. There's no shame in my game. I can't tell you the lie. I don't know what embarrassment feels like.
Peter might be mad at you.
Is that bestiality?
That's what? Letting the dog lick your nuts?
Is that bestiality?
Yes, it's bestiality.
That last clip, I got off the Breakfast Club Facebook. They probably tried to scrub a bunch of that stuff, but they missed that one. This is pure speculation on my part, not even alleged, just pure speculation. But I would guess that these guys hired fixers to preserve their public images. And there's no way to prove that, because if there was, your fixer would owe you a refund. But back to the larger point I'm trying to make here, Candice Owens is garbage. And most black people know that. So if you see her influence in a weakened state, the move is to just let her career die. You don't re-ingratiate her. The ones who platform her have to be as low as her. She's not all over black media. She basically did those two shows. Most people see a barrel of toxic waste and know to stay away. Her boy Kanye can't do mainstream media anymore for the same reason. But what's a barrel of toxic waste to another barrel of toxic waste? And look, for the record, I know this is all horrible. It feels bad to research. I feel gross, and I'm sure you do too. And I'm sorry about that. But if 2024 is going to be the year of digging up dirt on people, and short niggas whose names begin with K are exposing all the weird shit going on in the entertainment industry, I'm gonna follow that example. You know what? Go ahead and play the damn Not Like Us beat. Joe Budden and Charlamagne Tha God, not like us. Doing weird stuff with dogs, not like us. I know I already did Louis C.K. earlier this year, but his career's washed already. So is Candice Owens. I want the satisfaction of destroying somebody's career while it's still afloat. Because I'm a hater. Because I genuinely believe these people don't deserve the things that they have. These are guys that talk about doing weird stuff with dogs. That's not very black excellence of them.
You guys heard about that Joe Budden tape? I heard that when you watch it, some freaky stuff happens.
Why do I always want to make the dog feel good by playing with their privates?
You know, my parents worked in radio. I started out in radio, and I couldn't even get a job at a station for diverse young people after I'd interned for them and won them an award. But somehow, a couple guys who allegedly don't have the moral fiber to keep it platonic with a dog and don't have the shame to not talk about that in a public forum can get endorsement deals from Nissan and Cash App and whatnot. You're goddamn right. I'm a hater. Do you not hate this? Do you like this? Do you excuse this? Do you ignore this? Being a hater is my only option here. And yeah, I look at those two clowns and I see dollar signs, straight up. Just like they saw when they looked at Candice Owens. I'm trying to rebuild my life at one of the worst points in American history to try and do so. And I gotta watch guys who openly talk about bestiality rake it in. I'm not a capitalist, but don't push me, you know? I'm seeing all this celebrity exposure stuff, and I'm remembering a decade ago when Hannibal Buress told a joke about Bill Cosby that torpedoed that motherfucker's entire legacy. It wasn't new information, people just needed a reminder, and I'm thinking Hannibal came up off that. He toppled the legend and raised his own stock a bit in the process. Birds fly over the rainbow, why then oh why can't I? If you're as sick of this shit as I am, please share this video. Let everybody know that you can't just hurt black women, get to third base with Air Bud, and let Candice Owens' funky ass on your show and get away with it. If I ever see any of these nasty asses on my screen again, it'll be too soon. I feel like Hank from Breaking Bad right now.
Tagging trees is a lot better than chasing monsters.
Or even like Kurt Angle. I feel like one of those bald white men with the 1,000-yard stare. Alright gang, that was miserable to make, but I'm still trying to get these numbers up on YouTube, and a big, gross, salacious story like this one seems very of the moment. I think this might just be how I gotta roll for a while, you know, just keep stirring shit up until they pay me to stop. I told you a while back I'd show you how deep the rabbit hole goes, and I was not lying, and I am not done, but I don't want to do stuff like this all the time. It makes me feel really bad, so I'm still figuring that part out. I have a lot to say that isn't like this as well, but I'm convinced the winning lottery ticket is in something negative. Maybe I'm wrong, but there's no handbook on this shit, you know? So, gotta thank the Patreon members again. My heart goes out to you after this video. I'm very sorry that I had to talk about all that. I hope I don't sound insane when I say this, but I'm doing this for all of us, and I'm doing this for our future. It sucks that creative freedom is financial freedom, but it is. And I want to make some longer, more labor-intensive stuff, riskier stuff. In order to get there, I got to go after high-profile names and hope people and algorithms take notice. I'm going to link to some of the first-hand accounts from Joe and Charlamagne's alleged victims in the description. I know I'm leaning pretty hard on the dog stuff because it's bizarre and bizarre stories seem to do numbers, but what these men have done to women is so much worse than what they did to dogs. I love animals. I'm well aware of the blind rage that can naturally come as a result of hearing about someone corrupting a dog's inherent innocence, especially a puppy. But have a little perspective here. Don't be a Brita.
I can excuse racism, but I draw the line at animal cruelty.
You can excuse racism.
I mean, replace racism with sexism or misogynoir or whatever, but you get it, just needed to be said. But don't worry, I've got ideas for other expose type pieces on popular subject matter that won't be as f***ed up as this was. They'll be a whole lot more fun. I'll get to use my art degree again. And they could still potentially piss off way more people than even this video does. In fact, I'm counting on it. So look out for that stuff. New shorts on the way as well. This episode is brought to you by my Patreon. I make this show in a cave with a box of scraps, and every little bit helps. I can provide the kind of journalism that no longer exists within corporate media entities. And I'm really trying to get this thing to stabilize right now because I know that with the right level of support, I could have one of the best essay channels on this platform. But currently I'm in a holding pattern where unless FD Signifier shares one of my videos, it quickly loses momentum. And while I'm grateful for his help and support, he can't do it all. My patrons keep me afloat while I search for the magic equation that gets me out of this hole. And they get cool stuff that no one else gets to see in return. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, consider becoming a member. Subscribe to my channel, like the vid. Alright, I think I'm done. Go eat some ice cream. It's hot out. Back to the larger point I'm trying to make here. Candice Owens is garbage.
I want you to bring me the cash. I said I want you to bring me the cash. I want you to bring me the cash. 1 time, 2 times.